So, over the last few months, I've been completing every Platinum Relic in the Crash Bandicoot N-Sane Trilogy, and since I've finally finished all 85 of them, I thought I'd make a list of 5 which I found to be the toughest. Now, of course, this is just how I fell on each of these levels. I may have struggled massively on a level that someone else could do within a couple of attempts, or vice versa. So do keep in mind that this is a subjective list, and also the fact that I'm not exactly the best Crash Bandicoot player. Oh my fuck. So just before I get into the top 5, I just want to quickly mention some honourable mentions to the lab and future tense. The lab I was expecting to be a raw pain in the arse because of this cycle at the beginning. I genuinely think if it's pure luck if you ever get through it, because I must have tried this part about 100 times and never once did I feel like I could get it consistently. Future tense, however, seems to come out of absolutely nowhere. This level took me a good hour and a half in total for reasons I'm not totally sure of. The level isn't that hard until the end, there aren't any easily missable boxes. But every attempt there would just be one thing that would go wrong and result in a retry. I think the hardest thing about this level was just the time, and even though not being particularly strict, it doesn't really allow for many errors and practically forces you to skip as much of the end part as you can. Alright, so with that out of the way, let's start with the 5th worst level, which for me was Generator Room. This level's platinum time was insane. That's all I have to say, really. It's not really that hard to complete, but doing so in such a small amount of time makes you cut off as much as you possibly can, and that's what caused the most restarts for me. You preferably want to make this cycle here, which means you can skip across all these platforms, which is pretty much a must for getting the platinum here. Even still, you've got to be pretty flawless to get it, and that last TNT platform sucks so much, as it's essentially a blind jump at an awkward angle, to get a 1 box, which is sandwiched between 2 TNTs, and once you've got it, you've got to make the just as awkward jump from there back onto the main path. I've played Stormy Ascent at number 4, which may come as a bit of a shock to some people, because I've seen many people complain that this was the hardest one for them to do, and it took days for them just to get gold. And while I can completely see where they're coming from, I just didn't find it as mind-numbing as some of the other ones in this game. Once you take the time to learn each part of the level and understand the cycles of it, it really becomes a matter of trying to complete it without dying, which of course is absolutely no mean feat. But thankfully, the platinum time is very forgiving, so all you really have to focus on is to keep moving and time your jumps well. 3rd for me was Hanging Out. I placed this here because although I didn't show much in the video, I spent a very long time in this level. Its platinum time definitely does not play around, which is especially frustrating when this jump just doesn't seem to work very well. Not sure what it is about it, but for some reason I struggled to make this jump more times than I care to admit. You also don't get a huge amount of Aku-Akus either, so getting through these tight tunnels and being bombarded with enemy after enemy, all while trying to maintain some speed and try not to die, is definitely not an easy task. Just missing out on the number 1 spot is Cold Hard Crash. Yeah, I think most people would agree that this is the hardest Crash 2 relic. Thankfully you can use a death route, which takes a little bit of the pressure off, but even still, you've got to retain your Aku-Akus so you can get a triple, and again, keeping your Akus is no easy task, as these bloody penguins can take them away from you in a heartbeat. Then you got to contend with the pillars that slam down and crush you, which just always seems to be a cycle on their own. Never once found an easy way to get through all of them consistently, even when I thought I was getting fairly good at the beginning part with all the boxes and the pillars. All this added together with a pretty strict time, and you've got yourself one hell of a tricky platinum relic. So this brings us to number 1, the hardest relic in the N-Sane Trilogy, and that title has to go to none other than Hog Ride. I'm fairly sure you knew this one already, but yeah, this level absolutely sucks. For starters, you gotta wait for the other races to go every single time. I'm not sure entirely how long is the best time to wait, but it's a good 40 seconds or so, just to then mess up at the very beginning and repeat the process again. And that brings me very neatly onto my next point, which is the bloody boost in these motorbike levels. They have to be, without question, the worst controls I have ever seen in a game. They have to be intentional, they just have to be. I do not see a world in which a group of people could sit down, play the game, and not think to change them if they weren't. And this wouldn't be so bad if you weren't required to keep it throughout the whole level, but unfortunately that's exactly what you have to do. I cannot tell you how many times the first bit caused me to reset, and even on the very rare occasion I ever did, this 3 box would either just send me into the dirt or into the police car, ending the run. I have absolutely no idea why this level's time in particular is so tight when all the other biking levels I did in about 10 minutes. For context, Hog Ride took about 5 hours in total. 0 out of 10 would never do again. Alright, so that rounds up my list of the top 5 worst platinum relics in the N-Sane Trilogy. Again, this is only what I struggled on and not necessarily other people who struggled on. Next up, I'll be doing the Wrath of Cortex platinum relics, and then eventually Crash 4. Ugh.